Good evening. It is 7:01 on January 14th, 2021. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Royal Oak Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services Advisory Board to order. Due to the virtual nature of this meeting, all voting and attendance will be done through roll call. Going through as everyone appears on my screen. Please state aye and where you are broadcasting from, and provide a brief introduction of yourself for us. So I will start with Ms. Chow.
Hi, I am in Royal Oak. For those of you who don't know me, I am an attorney. I used to practice at the city of Detroit, and I'm in private practice. I've been on the board for about 2 years now.
Thank you. Commissioner Macy?
I'm here and I'm broadcasting from Royal Oak, Michigan. So I'm a city commissioner. I'm appointed to this board through the city commission. I've lived in Royal Oak for 16 years. I've got 3 kids, 2 at the middle school, none of whom have Miss Vukic because we're not very arty in our family, but we know about her. And I'm a legal aid attorney by trade, but the past 5 years I've been at Michigan Law counseling law students who are interested in doing either legal aid, but nonprofit work or working in government. And I love this board. I think this board is the one that is the most important to actually our residents. It covers our beautiful parks, the activities that people can do, and our services to the seniors, and super excited to have the new members here today.
So I caught that almost, but I'm going to go with Mr. Is it Vukic?
Well,
I'm sorry.
I made it up, so I don't know.
I am so sorry. I'm going to butcher names and I apologize in advance. So I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. You did great. I'm present. My name is Joe Vukic. I am a resident of Royal Oak. I'm broadcasting from Royal Oak. I am a high school teacher of 17 years. I teach AP World History and Law. I also help run an adult ed and community center in the Warren Woods community. So I work with some seniors in that capacity there as well. I'm also a volunteer coach for ROFC. My son plays travel soccer and my daughter's in rec. And I'm very, very excited to be a member of this board. Really looking forward to the work I'll be able to do here. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And and as Commissioner Macy did mention, my wife is the one of the art teachers at ROMS. So she teaches art at ROMS.
Well, we'll have to work on getting her kids over to your wife's class at some point.
For sure, yeah.
Miss Anderson?
Hi, my name is Susan Anderson. I'm broadcasting from Royal Oak, Michigan. I'm a registered nurse to adult children, and I've lived in Royal Oak since 1983.
Awesome. Welcome. We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rapinski?
Hi, Mike Rapinski. I'm presently in Royal Oak, and I have been a resident of Royal Oak along with my wife for going on 45 years. This is my second stint as a member of the Parks and Rec and Senior Advisory Board. I previously did 10 years on the board, and including about 4 or 5 years as the chair. Took a year off, and I've been back on the board for, I think, 2 years now. And I think I bring maybe the historical perspective to the board and issues that may come up that we can draw back on things that may have been done in the past for the good or the bad. And don't hesitate to ask me anything. If I don't have an answer, I'll make it up.
Thank you, Mr. Rapinski. And I think we should come up with a new seat for you as the board historian. And you clearly have only lived here for 45 years. Is clearly you were born here, so we know that. You didn't just move here. All right, Miss Harris.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maya Lane Harris. I was the student representative on the Parks and Recs committee for the last 5 years. And just this year, I got promoted to become one of the commissioners, so for 2 years. So I'm super excited that I can actually vote in the conversations because I enjoy the parks and everything, but now I'm a college student at Oakland Community College in Royal Oak, Michigan. And I also, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were.
Another thing, I just got appointed to the library board, which is super exciting. Yeah.
You and Commissioner Macy just hanging out all the time together, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you continue your service and be a more vocal member of our board. Thank you. Yeah. And this is the one I was dreading when I was looking through attendance because I know I'm going to butcher it. So Miss Wolozek. Oh.
Hi.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's Vlasic, but we can just carry fine.
Vlasic. Okay.
I'm streaming from Royal Oak. I've been a resident for about 3 years. I work for Beaumont in community health and government affairs, overseeing the Royal Oak region as well as their other service regions. Prior to that, I was with the Michigan Recreation and Park Association for about 5 years, where I managed their land grants across the state. So I'm very excited to bring my experience around access and equity to safe places to be active.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Vlasic. I'm sorry. I'll get this. Okay, Vlasic. I'll get there. I promise. I'll keep working on it. So thank you. And welcome to all the new members I am here from Royal Oak, and I've been on the board for about 3 years now, I think. I am currently the vice chair of this committee or this board. So I live in Royal Oak. I've been in Royal Oak, bought my house in 2001. I work for Quicken Loans, and I made the public relations as a communication strategist. So I love being part of this. I think, like Commissioner Macy said, I think there's so much opportunity, so many great and creative and innovative things that this board can do with our public spaces. And I'm really excited to get some new insight and some new thoughts and ideas around this. So welcome, everyone. Thank you. So moving on to the next agenda, which is an approval.
Pardon me, Sarah, but our
oh yeah, John and Paige.
John needs to.
I know, I forget you're not. I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to skip you. And Aaron's not here.
I just take notes.
You do more than take notes. You're a vital member of the team, and I mistakenly did not call on you, so I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, everyone should probably at least heard my name. I send out all the emails. I'm the superintendent of recreation. Aaron Filipski is the director of public service and recreation. He is actually on another Zoom at this moment, so he may join us later on, but you will see him and I quite often throughout the year. If you guys have any questions or whatnot, or have any ideas, feel free to reach out to me. You guys all have my email, phone number, readily available, so don't be shy.
And we'll get to Paige. Do you want to introduce her if she comes?
Yeah, we'll introduce Paige whenever it's her go.
Okay, sounds good. Are we good now to move on?
Yep.
Okay, moving on to the next agenda item is approval of the meeting minutes from December 3rd of 2020, sent to us by John, as you just heard. So I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I would say that Paul Keenan is still the secretary on the minutes. I don't know if somebody else is on.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, I think it's one of the business updates for election of officers. So I'm guessing we will come to that then, and then we can switch Paul's name out of there.
Sarah, if I may interrupt real quick, I just got a message from Carol. I guess members of the board need to have their video on if they have video access.
Okay.
For meetings for public benefit.
Susan and Carrie need to have video on.
There. Oh, look at that.
I do not have access to my video right now.
Okay.
Are you on a phone?
No, I'm on my computer, but my video isn't working.
There should be in the bottom left hand corner, it says like stop video, start video. Do you see that?
Yeah. My the actual video on the computer piece isn't working. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think Carol's saying it's okay if you can't, but if you
Yeah,
can, you should, right? Yeah. So okay, I think it's okay,
All
Carrie.
set now.
We're good?
Mhm.
Okay, so going back to the approval of the minutes, does anyone want to entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rapinski, second by Commissioner Macy. Does anyone have any discussion on the approval of the minutes? Okay, and I'll call for a roll call vote in the order that everyone appears on my screen. So, Ms. Chow,
Aye.
Commissioner Macy,
Hi.
oh man, Mr. Vukic, sorry.
Yeah, you got it. Vukic,
Kidding.
aye.
Mr. Rapinski,
Aye.
Ms. Anderson,
Aye.
Ms. Harris,
Aye.
oh, and Ms. Volchek.
Aye.
Awesome. So moving on to item number 3, which is city commission comments. Ms. Commissioner Macy, would you like to go?
Yeah, I would. I think I have a bunch of comments today. So
Awesome.
last time I let you know that there was an opening not only on this board, but on the city commission again. We've now filled that. We're now fully staffed at the city commission as well as at this body, thank goodness. So Monica Hunt was appointed to be the new city commissioner. I'm pretty pleased. I'm pretty excited about it. She seems like she's really invested and has a lot she's going to be bringing to the table. And I should say that I was on the appointments committee this time. We rotate every 3 months, but I was on the appointments committee that appointed the new members to this body. So I'm really excited about all of you too. I think so we heard in some of their intros about what they're bringing to the table. It's a really strong, robust group. And I think this is going to be great. We have a lot we can be doing here, and I'm looking forward to the new energy that you're bringing. In terms of what's coming up at the city, we have strategic planning. So this is where the commission gets together with the department heads and the city manager and talks about what we're hoping to do. We're doing a somewhat abbreviated version of it this year because it's COVID times, and we're feeling that we're kind of in a holding pattern, and we're thinking we're going to do a more robust strategic planning after maybe the next election when hopefully COVID is on the downswing. But that's on January 30th. It is an open meeting. People can watch and can make public comment. And if you have things directions that you think the city should be considering, like please reach out to the city commissioners, me, everybody, let us know. We do take it into account when we're doing that consideration. We just recently have been talking about this tree replacement, the fees for tree replacement. It's not 100% related to Parks and Rec, but I thought it was interesting enough that you might want to know about it. So when a developer comes in and wants to put in a development, sometimes they have to ask for permission if they're asking to waive some of the rules of the city's rules. And if they do, we have specific rules in place about when they cut down trees. And so we've had it in place, like if they cut down a tree, they need to either plant 2 or they have to pay a fee, but it hasn't been very well set up. So we're right now looking at a really more robust and interesting program where we'll be looking at the size of the tree cut down, the diameter of it, and then seeing what the size of the replacement trees are and charging them a fee based on the difference between those two. So we're hoping that this will really encourage people to consider the trees that they're taking down thoughtfully, and also to maintain our tree canopy more rigorously, since obviously if you have a really large tree that you're taking down and then you plant one of those little twigs in the ground, it's not the same. So that's something we're working on, and that's been coming back and forth to the commission. So I'm excited about that. This is like from God bless Facebook. Someone on Facebook posted, hey, is there a program around where people reach out and talk to seniors who, don't have anyone to talk to them? And I was like, no, but do you want to start it? And she said, yes. So this amazing woman, who I only know from Facebook, but seems really enthusiastic. And she works at, I can't remember which bank. I don't want to say the wrong bank. She works at a bank, and she already has some of her customers that she reaches out to like do this, basically the service as out of the goodness of her heart. And she said she's interested and organized and would like to get this started more robustly. And so we're meeting to talk about that next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And if anyone else wants to join that, I would welcome them to come. And because I know we've talked about it at this body, and there's some logistical hurdles. And I think having someone who, first of all, can lead it up, and secondly, maybe take some of the liability issues out of the city and into a nonprofit space, I think it would be interesting, and I would love to have anybody who wants to join. We also we got an email from Miss Wagman about like a Teens Helping Seniors kind of a tech program. And Maya, just now when you were like, oh, it's the bottom button, I was like, oh, maybe we do know someone who can lead this up.
Yeah, it's because last year for high school, we had to use Zoom. And for my college classes, all of them are on Zoom. And my math class, oh my goodness, it has about 30 students. My goodness, so many of us on there. It's crazy. There's like 2 or 3 screens. Like, you know how if you have like a huge Zoom meeting, it's crazy.
Scroll over. Well, so you have some expertise in this area.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, one thing we've talked about before here is some programs that would have our students or our teens especially, I think, interact with our seniors. And one thing we've been looking for is there's a fair number of issues, like there's some safety issues and there's some logistical issues with getting those connections made, and we need someone to spearhead it. So maybe
do you want me to lead it? What is?
I mean, so what I was going to say about was that this email also went to Tim Sahorsky, who was the chair of this board and is now on the school board. And he was like, I'd like to take this up too. So Maya, if you and he and I and somebody else want to meet and talk about how to get that off the ground, I think that would be great. I also suggested, like, I've talked to a fair number of people in the city about a way to get some of these programs going. And it's hard. Everybody's got a job already, and this is a whole nother job. But there are some people in the library board, especially those who've been working with our teens in the high school, who would be interested in doing this. So
in doing like what I did, the student thing.
So starting a program where seniors could connect with teens and get advice or get questions answered about technology.
Okay, so.
Okay, so it sounds like now we've got someone for that too. Man, everything's falling into place.
I would be happy to lead that for you.
Okay, all right, great. So I'm gonna follow up with you after this, and we'll get another meeting on the books, and I'll send that to the whole board. If anybody wants to join, then we're trying to get some subcommittees going on this board. I think that's where a lot of the real work happens. It's hard to do it in this body, but I think that would be a great thing. So a few more city commission. One thing is that, I don't know if this was already on the agenda, but Tim was on the downtown park task force. He wants to remain on that, but I don't think he can, because I think he was appointed as a part of this body. So I think we need someone else from this board to be appointed to the downtown park task force. I think the vast majority, if not all of that work is done. So I don't know if it's very important, but I think we should maybe have people who are interested, send whoever the new chair is a note, an email saying I'm interested, and we can try to maybe work that out at the next, I don't know. Whoever's the next chair, we can figure that out.
Is the chair the one who does all the planning besides the vice president, or who does all the planning?
Same.
So there's a task, it's like a subcommittee, Maya, and we sit on it, but I think Commissioner Perut is the chair of that committee. And then we all just attend. I mean, we haven't had a meeting in several months after we approved the 90%. So I think the next thing will be, I don't even know, John, what will be left?
The next thing would probably just bring it to the commission for award of the contractor.
Okay.
Award of the contractor.
So we have 2 seats on that board as a Parks and Rec board, that we have 2 seats on that task force.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
So, and that, it's mostly done, but we should probably assign someone to that. See, what else did I have? Oh, so this is our centennial year. So Royal Oak became a city in 1921, and it's 2021. So there's going to be some centennial celebrations, and I have a feeling that they will be involving a lot of parks and some recreation. So just keep an eye out for that. Already we're working on creating some Royal Oak stories. So if you have any kind of Royal Oak stories or Royal Oak histories you want to share, you can send those to there's a link to send those to City Hall, and then we're posting them on Facebook, and we're collecting them into a book.
Melanie, unfortunately, I only go back 45 years.
Yeah, not long enough. Sorry, Mike, you're out. No, that we want people's stories. So I think I don't think there's an age. I don't think there's any cutoff. So we'd love to hear people's stories. It's kind of like that, what's it called on NPR? The story, whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. The other things I want to talk about are Normandy Oaks is, we've already had one sort of opening celebration, but that's something we're looking forward to this year, is having another full opening of that. There's still construction happening there. This is mostly for the new board members, but we're hoping to have it completely open this year. Right, John? No, I'm not even looking at that shakehead. No,
I want it to be open. Oh my goodness.
Yes, it should be
So
open.
long.
Okay.
It will be open, I will say.
It will be open. Okay.
Put it out there, John. Let's just say it. It's going to be open.
I mean, I may have to get on a Caterpillar or something like that, but it will be open.
All right. Better you than me. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that so my husband just got appointed to the ROFC board. Our three of our kids also play soccer. I think you've heard me say that many a time. And he's assigned to the fields and facilities or something. I don't know, but people who've been here know that I've been trying to get the ROFC facilities guy to come here for years and talk to us. And now I have an in. So we're going to get the ROFC field and facility guy to come talk to us at some point this year and see how we can better collaborate with them. But one piece he brought back to me already is that they have been talking about Normandy Oaks and what a big job it is, and about how we're going to need another staff, basically. Like Parks and Rec is already stretched thin in terms of what they're doing, DPS all around the city. And as we have these 2 new parks come on board, we need to think about how we're going to be advocating to make sure that they're well maintained throughout the year. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
All right. Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Macy. Does anyone have any questions or additional comments on Commissioner Macy's report? Okay.
What was the subcommittee we were talking about for the seniors? What is that called? So I can have it written down.
It doesn't have a name, Maya, but you and I can we will call it Teens in Tech. That's what we're gonna call it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds good.
TNT. There you go. TNT.
Oh, it's like D&D.
Okay, that's my comic relief for this meeting. That's all I got. All right, thank you, Commissioner Macy. We appreciate the information. So moving on to the next agenda item, which is public comment. Just like our in-person meetings, we limit speaking time to 3 minutes, which is standard for all city commission or committee meetings. Please use the raised hand icon or click so we can click on that so you'll bring you off mute and to address the board. Do we have anyone for public comment, John?
We have 2 people in the attendees list, and P. McGee was the first one to raise his hand, so I'm going to allow him to talk. I'm going to ask you to unmute, and then just unmute yourself, and you are free
to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Mr. McGee.
Thank you. My name is Pat McGee. I've called into this meeting a couple different times. They're all around the park right adjacent to my house, Normandy Oaks. I recall when we voted on it in 2014, I was single, not married, and not a father. Fast forward 6 years, that's all changed. So I'm very hopeful the park will finally be open, but what I'm calling about is Elks Park, which is the closest park to Normandy Oaks that I've been using with my son. I've noticed it's deteriorating due to the construction of Normandy Oaks and Elks Park being used as a staging area for construction equipment. So most recently, a bench was damaged, which DPS didn't do anything about until I had to email actually Commissioner Macy to get some help and get the bench fixed. The street light that was over the playground was damaged, and DPS said, "Oh, well, we don't want to fix it. We'll just remove it." Slightly frustrating. And lastly, at the traffic committee, there was the one safe crossing across Normandy. A traffic light was removed back in August, and it's now January of the next year, and still nothing has been done at that crosswalk. Even after going to commission on December 7th, nothing has been done. It's pretty frustrating that DPS is dragging their feet on everything related to Elks Park. And then in addition to that, on the upcoming traffic committee meeting on the 26th, there's two critical items that go along with Normandy Oaks. Item A, which is Nakota Road, which is the northern border of Normandy Oaks. They're planning on putting a traffic calming island on that road to calm the traffic. However, it needs to be in a connected with Normandy Oaks, right? Why put a traffic calming island if that's not where a crosswalk is going to be located at Normandy Oaks? I feel like there should be some sort of person from this committee talking to the traffic committee meeting to figure out where's the best place to put a crosswalk on Nakota Road, which I don't think anything has been done. And then secondly, item E on the traffic committee is them doing repaving of Delamere Boulevard, which is the eastern border, or excuse me, western border of the park. Also something that should be part of a Normandy Oaks Park discussion. So to summarize for the notes, John, meeting minutes, frustrated about the lack of progress at Normandy Oaks. Frustrated that Elks Park is taking the brunt of construction equipment staging and deterioration. And the item 3, the traffic committee should be working with the Parks and Rec committee when it comes to roads directly adjacent to a major park in the city of Royal Oak. Thank you, and I look forward to taking my son to the park, which back when I voted on was not even a thought. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. McGee. We appreciate that. Anyone else, John?
Yep, I got Janice Wagman is going to do that. Okay. All right, allowed to talk and asked to unmute. Okay. Should be ready to go.
Thank you, Ms. Wagman. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Well, it won't be 3 minutes. This is Janice Wagman from Royal Oak, and I think I won the prize for the longest. If you go in and out of Royal Oak, I've been in and out of Royal Oak for 72 years. I just wanted to welcome the new members. I appreciate Maya volunteering for this senior, the senior and student intergenerational activity. I think it's very important, especially considering we have been in this pandemic and the mental health of both students and seniors has been compromised. And I think it gives them both a good feeling if we follow through on this. And then working on top of that, there's a lot of different activities that could go in this program that would benefit both going forward. So thank you for coming and joining the committee, and I will be a thorn in your side when it comes to senior activities, basically. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagman. Any other public comment?
Nope, that is it.
All right, with that, public comment is closed. So moving on to the next agenda item, which is general business, we will start.
Sarah, can I make a recommendation on the business agenda? I'd like to move item B up to A, just basically switch A and B and take care of the formality of election of officers. So my motion is to move item B to A and A to B.
Okay. Like to so we have a motion on the table. Commissioner Racy, do you have questions or second that? She's seconding that. So we will go back to the top of that sentence. I would like to start with the business with the election of officers. So currently,
Sarah, you have to make a vote.
You have to vote on that motion.
I'm sorry. I'm getting used to this, I promise. All right, starting in the bottom, I will start with Ms. Harris.
What are the,
aye.
Oh, aye.
Do you have, we'll talk about comments after we vote.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Rapinski?
Aye.
Mr. Vukic?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Ms.
No,
Macy?
you're doing
Commissioner
just great.
Aye.
Ms. Chow? You're on mute.
You mute, Kristen.
Still on mute. How about you just raise your hand? There you go.
There
You got it.
Okay. And Ms. Volchek.
Aye.
Okay. Comments or discussion?
What are the positions again besides like I'm just wondering because I forgot.
Yeah, we'll get into that as soon as we can move forward now with the business at hand since we approved the motion. We will start with the election of officers. The current open positions that we have on the board is chair of the board that Mr. Tim had previously, and then secretary that was previously occupied by Mr. Paul Cannon. So those are the two open positions. And I'm currently serving as the vice chair. Yes, Commissioner Macy.
First of all, I mean, aren't you done as vice chair?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess I don't 100% know either, but I thought we did it every year. So
we do. Okay, so no, I have no position on this board except running this meeting right now. So
well,
apparently
you're
we also
still
have vice
leftover.
chair.
You're the leftover, but I guess I'd also like to go ahead and nominate you as chair if you're willing to accept. I feel like you've been in training and now you've done the study. And I feel like that was what we were thinking was going to happen is that you would.
He stole my thunder.
Oh, so, please, Mr.
That's okay. I will second the motion to nominate Sarah Kittinger as the chair of the Parks and Rec and Senior Advisory Board.
All right. Let's just vote on it all in one motion. So, or do we have to vote on each one, John?
Vote on each one.
Okay. All right. So for all those, we'll go through roll call.
The secretary does the notes, right?
So we'll get to secretary in just a second. John really does the notes, but we'll get to that. Let's vote on and then chair. Then we'll go to vice chair. Okay, John, we'll get to delegation in a minute. Okay. All right. We'll start with, does anyone have any discussions on the motion of appointing Sarah Kittinger as the chair of this committee? All right, I'll go through roll call. Ms. Chow.
Aye.
Ms. Commissioner Macy.
Yes, aye.
Mr. Vukic.
Aye.
Mr. Rapinski.
Aye.
Ms. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Harris.
Aye.
And Ms. Volchek.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Now we'll move on to vice chair. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your vote of confidence. I will get this. I will get your names. I promise. If I have to call you out after hours to figure this out. All right. Yes, Commissioner Macy.
So I'd like to nominate Mike Rapinski if he'll accept it as vice chair. I think we could use his expertise in shepherding Miss Chair Kittinger along here.
Definitely needs the help. I second Mr. Rapinski as vice chair. Does anyone have, so any discussion on that motion before we vote?
I'll accept if you do elect me.
Okay, well, we're glad to hear that. All right, go ahead, and the motion is to vote Mr. Rapinski as vice chair. And so we'll start at the top, Ms. Volchek.
Aye.
Ms. Chow.
Aye.
Commissioner Macy.
Aye.
Mr. Vukic.
Aye.
Mr. Rapinski.
Aye.
Ms. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Harris.
Aye.
Congratulations, Mike. Welcome. Thank you for accepting that. Okay, now questions with the secretary. So the secretary, the way it is, assist John with taking notes. John, I don't know if you fully delegate it, but you would assist with taking notes. You would also, I don't know what other roles and responsibilities.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Macy, what else is the secretary responsible
I basically
for?
think the secretary is supposed to receive the notes from John and like review them, for accuracy. So I'm the secretary on the library board and I just have to do what John does. But we seem to have excellently offloaded that to John and he does such a good job that no one wants to stop it. And like Paul has not attended meetings in months and yet his name's appeared on all these meetings. So it's really a great job.
Just for the record, John, your predecessor handled it the same way.
Does anyone want to be secretary? Does anyone interested? Maya?
Yeah.
Perfect. I was going to nominate Maya.
Yay!
So I'll make that motion to nominate Maya as secretary.
Second.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm taking a class called Interpersonal Communications, and next week is when I actually get to start taking notes for the class. So this will be good practice for my class.
Maya, if you want to practice, let me know.
No, John.
Okay,
February meeting's coming up.
Maya, your
Which-
real job is to go through and every time he misspells Macy, put the E in there. That's what your real job
okay.
is.
Well, that will be fixed.
All right. I'll let you and John negotiate note taking, but right now, does anyone have any discussion on the motion of appointing Ms. Harris as the secretary of the board? Okay, with no further discussion, we'll do roll call. We'll start with Ms. Harris. Are you willing to accept this position that you nominated yourself for?
I accept
All right.
my nomination for secretary.
All right. Ms. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Rapinski,
Aye.
Mr. Vukic,
Aye.
Ms. Commissioner Macy,
Aye.
Ms. Wolshick,
Aye.
and Ms. Chow.
Aye.
Okay, so our new board is myself as the chair, Mr. Rapinski as vice chair, and Ms. Harris as secretary. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
And we can, John, for the next board meeting, will you put on the task force, the downtown park task force, and we can talk about that? I feel like we've had a lot of elections, so let's move that one to next month. All right, moving on to the next item of business that is now the senior center update. John, I think we have Paige with us today.
Yep.
So for the board members, Paige Gombarski is the senior director. She handles all the senior programming over at the senior center. So she's on board with us tonight to introduce herself and just give a little brief overview of everything that goes on.
Welcome, Paige, and Happy New Year.
Same to you, Sarah. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Great. I don't know. The camera's not working here, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's a good thing for me, though. Just a couple of updates. We've been very busy here at the center. We're moving forward. We're going to be having a new, another pop-up meal with the Irish Tavern, which is kind of right across the street from Royal Oak in Madison Heights. We're going to be doing that with them on January 22nd because we're not doing curbside meals yet because the kitchen is still under renovation, but we are getting closer and closer to getting that finished. The second thing that's coming up is we're going to be starting is called At Home Bingo. That is going to be starting on February 8th. And pretty much everything that I'm speaking about this evening is on or going to be on our Parks and Recreation Facebook page. So the flyers are up there with all the information for if anybody's interested. So we're going to start doing that. A lot of senior centers are doing kind of like parking lot bingo, which with the weather, it's just not going to be able to happen here. So we've kind of thought we would do this at home bingo, and all the information is on that flyer. The other thing that's up and coming in February is we're going to be doing another DIY Valentine's cookie kit. We did that at Christmas time and we sold out along with our hot chocolate bombs. So that's coming up. They can call in and RSVP for that. Distribution or pickup will be February 10th and 11th. We are also working with Irish Tavern to do another pop-up in March for St. Patty's Day. We don't have all the specifics, but that is coming. So that is going to be something that will be happening on March 10th. Okay, but flyers and all that are not confirmed yet. Like I mentioned, kitchen is coming along. We actually, Aaron Cook and I had a meeting with the installers, and we just needed to configure some new things in the kitchen. So hopefully that'll be up and running probably within the next couple of weeks, if everything goes well. Another new thing we're going to be doing is called Give a Book a Forever Home. What staff has done here is in the lounge, there is a small library area. They are cleaning that area out, and they will be starting that up in February. It's a cooperative venture with the entire staff here, so that flyer will be coming up soon. on Facebook, so look for that. We are going to be starting some in-person classes here at the center, starting the first week of February. I've been in contact with many of the instructors. Some of them feel like they're not, it's not safe enough to come out yet, but some are. So that is coming out hopefully by the mid next week. I'll have that flyer put together, so that'll be coming out. Right now, we'll be hosting about 5 or 6 different classes of in-person classes here at the M&M Center. So that's kind of exciting. We will also be moving forward with ARP, with the tax aid assistance. We have been in contact with the volunteers through the entire pandemic, because actually when the pandemic hit, we were in full swing of preparing tax assistance to the seniors. So we are going to be trying to get that up and running next month or in March. I don't really have too much say in that because ARP makes those guidelines. So we just have to go along with whatever kind of protocol they want us to do. But appointments will be happening this year. It will not be just come in at the front door, get a number. It will be by appointment only, and that information will be coming out as soon as we get that from ARP. We are also planning a lot of our spring classes, which will be starting right after Easter. So it's kind of right now we're getting some of our in-person classes going, this is our winter session, but we are working as if we will be, hopefully doors will somewhat be open in spring. So we'll be moving forward with that. And then the one thing that I wanted, it'll be in our February newsletter too, is we received 3 very generous donations over the holidays. One, we received a $2,500 donation from Home Instead company out of Birmingham. It's a home care agency. They donated that to us that we are going to be putting into the foundation through the city, which is a 501c3 now. So we received that. We have pictures and information with that will be in our February newsletter. And then we received 2 different $1,000 donations. One was in a memory of one of our aphasia group members. Her son from Ohio made a contribution for that. And then another $1,000 donation was anonymous. We know who she is, but she likes to remain anonymous, she's very generous to the center throughout the year. So those were 3 very nice donations we received. The other thing we were very happy and able to provide is our giving tree this year. For those who are not aware of what that is, when you come into the building, there is a Christmas tree that we usually post presents. Names are anonymous from seniors who, needy seniors, and people are able to buy something for them and we are able to deliver to them. Because we were not open, we put a paper tree. It was on Facebook and it was in the newsletter. And we were able to do that program this year, which we received several thank you letters from the patrons who were part of the giving tree. So that made everyone really happy. And we had many residents here of Royal Oak who called me personally and said, if there's any tags left on the Christmas tree, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to make sure that everybody gets what they are asking for. And the residents of Royal Oak stepped up, and that really made everybody feel really nice. So other than that, we're just plugging along. We've got, as I don't know if John mentioned, the condenser. We are kind of closed down right now, except for transportation because there's no heat in the building because a new condenser is going in. But we're being very hopeful that next week, Thursday on the 21st, everybody will be back in here and we'll start plugging away for the classes and then getting everything ready for spring. So that's about it.
Paige, can you, just for some of the newer members, walk us through what some of the renovations are for the kitchen?
The renovations in the kitchen is, we're kind of behind the 8 ball, obviously. So we were able to get a new stove range in from last fiscal year. There was some money that Parks and Rec had, and they allocated that to the senior center. So we were able to get that. We were able to get a faucet so that water can go into one of our other cooking units. We were able to get a new milk cooler and a salamander. And that is the little obstacle that we're having. It's a little hiccup, but it's kind of a big hiccup, but that's the salamander is where we have to, the logistics of how the kitchen is. So the renovation. So we're working through that. So we were able to acquire some of that money. And then what we're doing now is getting a new convection oven that was in this fiscal year, which started in June. So now we're putting that in there into that renovation. So that's where we're at right now. The building is over, the building is over 30 years old. So obviously a lot of the setup and the gas and all that stuff is outdated. So they have to pull permits and, you know, it's like everything else with the pandemic. It's just what should take, you know, a month or 2 months is taking 8 to 10, 12 months. So that's kind of where we're at.
Sure. Thank you, Paige. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions or comments or additional information that they're looking for from Paige? Yes, Commissioner Macy.
So one quick comment for the benefit of the new members, and then also a question. The comment is that, so Paige for a long time has been our only full-time staff at the senior center. So she runs everything. So we have volunteers and we have some part-time staff, but she has been the full-time staff. So she's the one. So if you have questions about the senior center or ideas or want to talk to somebody, like Paige is the one. We do now have another staff member. I don't remember her last name.
Erin Cook. Erin Cook.
And she's our chef. So so Chef Erin is also a staff member. Paige is the manager. So my question, Paige, is that there was like a little confusion on the Facebook page because it said, like, you know, the condenser issue is there, the building is closed, you can't reach it. And then there was also the advertisement of the cookies and calling about the cookies. And you might know that I happen to like the cookies. So can we call and get the cookies or not?
You can. So actually what is happening is, because what happened is this whole condenser started on a Friday, and we had all the information on Facebook. So we were again behind the 8 ball. So there are 2 individuals, Daniel and Denise, they share the dispatching position. They are here Monday through Friday to answer transportation, but they will also take the reservation for the curbside pop-up for it, which tomorrow is the deadline. And they will also take your reservation for the DIA cookie kits. We cannot take transactions because they don't have that ability to go on into WROK Pro and process all that kind of stuff. So they can take a reservation, but they can't take a transaction. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. What's the deadline tomorrow for? Not the cookies.
Tomorrow, no, not for the cookies. The deadline is for the curbside with Irish
the IT. Okay.
And
The
actually,
IT
what
pop-up.
happened is the flyer. We were ready to pull forward, you know, the cookie flyer and the give a book forever home. Unfortunately, that kind of got out to the general public, where I wanted that to hold back until the 21st when we returned, because of all the questions and everything. But unfortunately, it did get out to the public. So that's kind of where all the confusion is. And just like the recording on our machine here, the only time you would get that recording is if you called after hours, which there is no message to leave. You can't leave a message on our machine because there is staff here from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. There's someone here to answer your question. Even if they said you're going to have to call back on the 21st, there is a physical human body here that you will get that answer. The only time that you would get that recording is if you are on that phone and let it ring more than 8 times after hours. So, but if you call between the regular business hours, there is a human body here, a warm body to take your call. So,
And if I make a reservation but can't pay, I can call like in a week or two to pay, or I can just bring cash.
what we're
right?
going to do is when we get back on the 21st, I'm going to have a little powwow with all the staff to go over everything that's going on. We will probably be calling people on the list and asking them if they would like to do payment ahead of time, because a lot of people like to do that. Plus, it lets the flow go quicker at curbside. So we will probably be doing that too, making that call out to everybody.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Paige, can you explain a little bit more or what the Give a Book Forever home is?
Yep.
Kind
So
of-
what it
yeah.
is what they're going to be doing is why they're saying Give a Book Forever is because we are not going to be taking these books back to the center because of COVID. So once you want the book, they will be going to, and you can keep that. Maybe once everything is over, the pandemic is all over, we will restock the library, but right now we're not doing that. So what they're going to do is staff is going to start to put a list of books that they have in the library and get that word out through Facebook. And if people are interested in any of these books, we can then put them aside for you by calling us or, messaging us or emailing us or however you want to communicate with us. And then we will do like a curbside pickup, kind of like what the library's been doing.
Okay.
And we'll do it that way too. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that flyer will go out on Facebook on the 21st.
Gotcha. Okay,
It's
I'll
ready
keep an
to
eye
go.
on them.
We just don't want all these questions with nobody here. So
Sure. Paige, I don't know if this is for you. I think this is probably you and I probably need to loop back, but the AARP, Aging Friendly Community Aging in Place Task Force, that whatever, I can't remember what we call it, but
yeah.
do we need to connect on that? I mean, I feel like we're way past some of our deadlines for obvious reasons that we haven't been able to meet since March. Have you heard anything from AARP around that?
Actually, Commissioner Douglas, she was with me when we were able to pick up the donation from Home Instead. And we are looking at trying to get that task force back moving, obviously by Zoom.
Okay.
The one thing is, I know we're past due on some things, but with AARP, they are not meeting, they are not going out to communities, they are not doing those kinds of things. They are actually pulling back on a lot of their programs until summer.
Okay.
For instance, there's a group that does like the driving safeties for seniors. They aren't even thinking about moving forward with that until even the summer. So even though we haven't met a lot of information and stuff with AARP, just like tax aid, it's a lot of volunteers, and protocol is number one with them right now to keep everyone safe because of our population. Obviously, the volunteers and the people who come out to assist in these programs are the individuals that we really need to watch closely. So
I may reach out to Karen to see like if there's an extension or we get an extra year or whatever. I'll work with you offline, Paige.
Right, but I know Commissioner Douglas she is concerned about that, and she is trying to and there are two, I don't know if you are aware of that, there were 2 vacancies. One was filled by Sue Wells.
Okay.
I'm not exactly what her position is or her title is with Oakland County Parks. She is a resident of Royal Oak, obviously, and she has been in recreation for many, many years. She'll be a huge asset to I think she's like second in command with Oakland County. John may know, but she'll be a huge asset to the task force for sure. And I believe there's still one more vacancy. obviously with Stephanie's vacancy,
Yes.
and then Bernadine, she moved, I believe. So that's
Okay.
where we're still looking for that.
I'll reach out to Commissioner Douglas. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts, ideas for Paige in the senior center?
I'm sure everybody has my email. That is the best way to communicate with me. Sometimes you may get a return email at 2, 4, 5 a.m. But that is the best way right now, especially with the pandemic going on, is email me any thoughts, any ideas, anything that you may have, and we can, look into it and move forward if you want. So.
Well, thank you so much, Paige. We appreciate your updates and your continued support in helping our senior community.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and welcome aboard, everyone.
Thanks, Paige.
Good night.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next order of business, which is budget topics. It sounds like a John opportunity to talk about.
Yeah, so Commissioner Macy kind of touched on a little bit of her comments, but we are in the early stages of budgeting our programs and whatnot. We have the strategic planning on January 30th. So, just keep in mind going forward. I know this agenda's been out for some time, so if you guys have any ideas right now that, you want to put your input in, we can take them, but we can also have more discussion in February, give you guys a little bit more time to think about what you'd like to see from the Recreation Department, DPS, et cetera, in our parks. So like I said, these are all just kind of preliminary talks. We've put in some ideas, Aaron and I, for the departments. So those have all been submitted through the CIP process. They're nothing set in stone yet, but they've just been submitted. So it's kind of where this item was, just kind of a preview of what's to come. But if you guys do have any inputs right now, more than happy to take them.
So John, walk me through, we're gonna, just a second, Mr. Orpinski. We start with strategic planning on the 30th and then you go into budget, more refinement, or how, can you walk us through a little bit about the process just so we're all on the same page?
I've actually never been in strategic planning, but
Okay.
we, as far as staff goes, we submit capital improvement projects to the finance department. We kind of go over variable funding sources for those projects, and then sit down at strategic planning and I guess kind of go over. Commissioner Macy, go over what what we submit and what you guys have visioned for each department, et cetera.
Yeah, it's kind of intermixed. So it's strategic planning. It's like kind of the vision for the city going forward, things we want to be looking at in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years. And the budgeting has already, as John said, is already happening in the departments.
Okay.
So like the city commission doesn't actually know what's happening in the department heads, but this is the time for the department heads to come forth and say, like, we need this, we need that. And we try to figure out, like, how does that fit with our vision for the city? So for instance, every year I'm trying to get someone new for DPS because my vision for the city is that we support and maintain our parks. And that's not always, it's not always the highest priority because we have a lot of competing priorities. So, and then I think the budgets from the departments are due to the city manager in February. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it's, yeah.
February, yeah.
And then the city manager goes through and, like, based on the strategic planning and also his own vision for the city, kind of pares it down and goes back to the department. It's like, yes, 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 no, no, no. And then they prepare like this huge mega budget, and then the city commission sits down at 3 meetings in May, like April to May, and reviews the budget in detail. Again, those are open meetings. They're crazy boring, but they are open meetings if you'd like to attend. I would recommend actually people go through the budget and just look at the orange pages, which is where they do the highlights for each department, because that says what's the most interesting for each department every year. And the meetings, by the way, are just them reading those to us. So they're super boring.
John, is there a preliminary document available for what is being sent to the commission, or is that not available until the commission gets it?
it's not available really until the budget documents are submitted to them in like the April, May time period. So everything right now that staff is doing is all essentially preliminary. First step is capital improvement projects. Then the second step is going through the budgetary numbers and then highlighting some areas to improve on, et cetera. And then that kind of gets all thrown at the city manager. City manager goes through it, reviews it, as Commissioner Macy says, and then all of that stuff, like packet, almost gets thrown at this commission during our budget meetings in April or May.
Is the CDBG money involved in there as well? Is that earmarked, or is that just one big pot, then everybody tries to cut it up?
Well, every year I have to submit in CIPs the parks that are coming up for CDBG improvements. The funding that the city receives is delegated by the commissioners. So it's not necessarily, it's like a pool of money, and then the commissioners will say, all right, X amount goes here, X amount goes here, and X amount goes here. And that will essentially then determine how many parks we can do and what types of projects we can do at the parks once that pot of money is divvied up.
For
And
the,
this is
for the
the,
new, for
just
the
a
new
second, this-
members, we have already
Yeah.
prioritized those monies. for
Correct.
CDBG.
So the meeting 2 months ago was the 4 parks that are on slate for improvements. So most likely of those 4 parks, we'll try to hit 2 of them.
and this is the city development block grants that we receive from the federal government. Just
Community development.
Sorry. Sorry.
They're
So
fine.
it's actually separate from our budgeting because it's not like
Yeah.
our city budget.
Yeah.
It's like money from the federal government.
So this is federal grant money that we receive based on how to improve parks or areas that are considered low income. Lower income.
Well, it's essentially used to improve low income areas.
Okay.
I think recently, this was before my time, but recently the city has used some of the funds to help improve parks. But a lot of times it was roads, tree programs. They planted a bunch of trees in the city using CDBG funds.
I know we did a bunch with roads last year with right.
Some housing grants, I think, that can come from CDBG funds. So like I said, and we don't really know what the pot of money is, the overall pot of money is, until, the
July,
government
isn't it?
tells us, it's like, hey, this is what you get. And then they all get divvied up at that point.
So it's not necessarily just poor areas. It's based on a demographic map that I'm not sure who originates that map. Melanie, maybe
the government,
based on census data.
Yeah, the government sends us a map, and it says, these areas highlighted in brown are CDBG
eligible
zones, right? And then we'll go through those areas that are highlighted in brown and pull out the parks that are in that area. So the government doesn't really say, all right, these parks are in the area. They just say, these are your zones. And then staff goes through those zones to see what parks are in those zones. If that makes sense.
Thanks.
So for next meeting, just keep an eye.
Mr. Vukic?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what are the types of improvement projects that we might normally see with those types of grant monies in regards to parks?
Yep. So, so the CDBG funding, a lot of times will upgrade playground equipment. The funding is tied. There's some language tied to the funding that it has, whatever improvements you provide have to be accessible throughout the city. You need to have multiples of these upgrades throughout the city. So for instance, you see some fitness equipment over at Grant Park, Cody Park, Barton North, and waterworks. Now that's a specialized equipment that normally wouldn't have been approved through CDBG funding. But since we explained to them that this is an area where we're going to, develop further through most of our other parks, we were able to use funding for fitness equipment. But like playgrounds is an obvious one because there's playgrounds throughout the whole, there's 50 some odd parks. So there's playgrounds in every park. So that's easy to explain to the government that yes, we're upgrading this playground. We're going to upgrade other playgrounds throughout the city. Fall zone is a big one. Port in place, rubber fall zone, artificial turf fall zone is a big one. You can renovate ball fields. Ball fields is a good one to kind of explain because we have soccer, we have baseball fields throughout the whole city. So it's not just in a centralized location. One park has ball fields, soccer fields, etc. Something that you can't do or you could do, but it's just a little bit more challenging is like dog parks. Because we're not going to put dog parks in every single park throughout the city. Skate parks. There was a skate park about 4 months ago topic that someone brought a presentation to us. And it's a good idea, but I asked if we can use a skate park, CDBG funds for a skate park. And since it's so specialized and you're not going to put a skate park in, other parks, you can't use funding for that. So those are the, those are just some of the concepts that you can use for CDBG money.
It doesn't fall under us, but one of the big things that happened last year's was some road, like what were they called? Like traffic barriers. Yeah. Obviously that's the traffic board, but those were some things that we heard about as well.
So for instance, Lawson Park their baseball field is getting upgraded, their playground's getting upgraded, their basketball court is getting upgraded. We're adding fitness equipment to the park. So it's essentially all these components that we have in our other parks, basketball courts, baseball fields, playgrounds, fitness equipment. So that's easy to essentially explain to the government. Yeah, we have these in all of our other parks and we're going to upgrade them throughout the years.
Go ahead, Ms. Chow.
Just a quick comment I don't know if this is an appropriate time, but as a new member, one thing that might be helpful is if you get a chance to read the master plan when we talk about strategic planning. That helped me when I first joined the board know what to think about what John's department is doing. And also just a comment, just to clarify, this budget discussion is not to do with how we are spending the money that we are allotted to spend, correct?
For
we may not have any money,
or just like
we might not have any money. Yes. Okay, so it's just a comment on what your department is, how they want to spend money. Okay.
Yeah.
But as an advisory board, I think if we decided that we wanted to build, let's just take the skate park, this would be a time for us to say we want to look at how we would fund a skate park potentially, right, John? That's what you're saying.
Correct.
Yes, Commissioner Macy. Were you done, Ms. Chow? I'm sorry. Were you done?
Yeah,
Crystal?
thank you.
Okay. Yep. Mr. Macy.
I was just going to echo Crystal and say there's actually a Parks and Rec master plan is what she's talking about. Mm-hmm. So there's a city master plan, but there's also a Parks and Rec master plan that was based on a survey that was done of the residents about what they were looking for in parks, and also has, although it's pretty outdated now, but it has like a rundown of all the things that we have in our parks. So where there's a basketball court and where there's a tennis court and things like that. The easiest way to think about the CDBG money is that it's for the good of the community. So they don't want us cheating and making like a once in a city opportunity, like in one spot, because it really is for the whole city and we'll be drawing from everywhere. We want it to be for the benefit of the CDBG zone. Yep. So we can't, for instance, put in a splash pad if we don't have any other splash pads. And it's not just for parks, like it also goes for the housing rehabilitation fund. So we put some money aside for that, for low income people who need to do work on their houses. They can take out a loan from the city to get that work done for improvements. And it's also the roads. So most of the roads now are done, but some of the unimproved roads in the city, if you didn't know this already, if you live on a road that's a gravel road, the city is not going to pave it for you. You have to pay to have it paved yourself, and it's really expensive. So nobody wants to do that. And the CDBG money is something that can be used for that benefit, for paving of the roads in those areas. So anyway, that's just.
This is one of those historical moments. Just to go back from, because one of our public comment, Mr. McGee mentioned about Elks Park, and there was a lot of discussion in the Normandy Oaks task force. Again, for those of you who don't know, I was chair of the task force for Normandy Oaks. And a question came up, like, why we didn't join Elks Park to Normandy Oaks? Why weren't they just incorporated into making that one big park? And one of the main reasons for that is by keeping Elks Park separate, it has a better opportunity to qualify for the future CBD, those funds. It kind of became, a separate entity. It's just maintaining Elks Park as a separate park was beneficial. And that's the historical perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Lipinski. We always appreciate the historical things to help us understand where we are today. Any other thoughts or comments around budget?
Just to clarify before we move on, that Parks and Rec master plan, is that accessible on the website, the city website?
Yeah, John, could you send a link to the group?
Yep, it is online, and I also have a hard copy of it. So if you guys copy,
it's very long, the hard
Perfect.
copy.
Thank you.
But it is a very good way to inventory where we were, I think, when the survey was taken, and it also has a lot of great public comment in it as well. So, all right. Anything else? All right, Jen, your favorite topic, baseball.
all right.
Talk to us about those leprechauns.
All right, so I don't know if you guys have heard, but was contacted about actually right before Christmas, so early December, about a potential donor of funds to complete the project over at Memorial Park, the Field 3. And for those members who are new, I was approached almost 2 years ago by this group called the Irish Hills Leprechauns. And what they are a summer collegiate baseball team, and they play in a collegiate league similar to the Grapefruit League, the Cape Cod League. So what essentially this league is comprised of is all these kids that go and play college baseball at University of Michigan, University of Detroit, Miami, Ohio, etc. When their season's over, their coaches like to keep them playing and will send them to a summer league. So this is what this team is. So they approached me about 2 years ago, and they approached me to renovate Memorial Park's Field 3, to lay down some artificial turf in the infield, upgrade the dugouts, put in some artificial turf bullpens, etc. So they were getting the dugouts up, then some funding sources fell through, and then COVID hit. So it was kind of just a domino effect of things that just kind of prolonged the renovation. And then so fast forward to December 2021, I received a phone call from Mark Sackett, who is the president and owner of this league, of this team, saying that he got a potential donor of funds. And 2 weeks later, the funding was secured. And I'm sure you guys all saw the news article or the news story that came on channel saying, it was an unanimous professional baseball player that had donated some funds to help renovate the field. So with that being said, the dugouts are already done. They've been done for quite some time. So starting in March, whenever the weather gets better, they have to have 40 plus degrees or in climbing to lay down the turf. So starting in March, they're going to start excavating and then renovating the turf to be ready to play on in April. Actually kind of works out well. I only had to push maybe 1 or 2 games from March back into April. So, weather providing and it cooperates, we can have a really nice baseball field in Royal Oak, and actually the only municipal artificial turf field in Oakland County, and probably, this may not be true, but probably the state of Michigan. But I know Oakland County for sure. So their season's going to start this June and it goes through the end of July. They have a lot of marketing promotions going on that they're going to put out there. And it's pretty much just like going to a minor league game here in the city of Royal Oak.
That's great news, John. Thank you for the update. Does anyone have any questions, comments, thoughts for John around our exciting minor league team coming? Yes, Commissioner Macy.
So John, was there like an exciting and somewhat mysterious note about the donor? Can you share that with us?
I can't. I know who it is, but I can't.
No, but tell us what the exciting and mysterious note is. It's like said it was like a professional. What did they say?
It's an anonymous donation, so we can't talk about it.
That's kind of cool.
I'm taking it to my grave, so you guys can't. All
right. When this is over, we're taking John out for drinks.
Several.
2 more years until I'm legally allowed to do it here in the state.
Maya, you can be the driver.
Oh yeah.
Good point.
I just need insurance, then I'm all set. That's it. I'm already have my license and everything. I just need the expensive insurance.
John, quick question. This league is not going to interfere or disrupt our regular users of this field, high school teams, Sandlot League. Is that, I assume they're going to have priority on it, but are we able to maintain our relationships there?
Yep. So the only stipulation to their contract was that ROSL remains the priority during the June through August season. So I've already worked out the schedules with ROSL and the Leprechauns, so that's all squared away as far as scheduling goes. And with their season starting in June, it won't really have any effect to the local high schools that use the facility, since they'll be out of class at that time. We do have some occasional travel teams that rent that field through the June and July period. So it's just going to be a matter of, fitting them in whenever the availability is. But normal scheduling prior to Leprechauns coming into play was ROSL has priority from June through their season ends first week of August. So through that period, then anyone else has to sort of fill in a spot. So it's going to be essentially the same thing. Now there's just another component, and that being the Leprechauns.
And if I remember correctly, they also committed to putting on like clinics and things like that in partnership with the ROSL, so that we can so they have that experience as well, from what I remember.
Yes, so there's going to be 2 or 3 clinics that these collegiate players will be putting on for ROSL and any other, kids that want to participate, but mostly for ROSL. And I will say it's for those who are new to the board and haven't really looked at the contract, it's a 50-50 revenue split.
John, is there, with it being new to the group here, is there a discussion of like, I'm thinking Jimmy John's Field, where it's like there's a lot more to the experience there. There's concessions, there's all those other activities. Is that part of this plan as well?
Yes. So right now, their concession is going to be food trucks.
Oh, cool.
Reason being is ROSL runs the concession at Memorial Park, and I do not want to be involved with this person took my case of Coke or that person took my pack of M&Ms. So we're not doing any of that. ROSL will have the concession. They can still run food trucks, ROSL can, but the only type of concession when the Leprechauns are playing is going to be food trucks. They're going to have similar promotional events that you would see at Jimmy John's, and in the future, there are plans to renovate the grandstands, so those bleachers, the press box, scoreboards, etc. So there are future plans for that.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts for John on our Leprechauns? Okay, moving on, John, do you want to give us some staff reports, please?
Sure, yep. So I'm just gonna look at my notes here. Paige kind of mentioned this and touched on a little bit, but we're gonna be opening up our classes at the Salter Center. We're still working with our instructors on what dates they want to start back up, but it's either going to be January 20th or January 27th. Based off of registration numbers, we actually only had 3 classes have numbers to run. And those, they all have 8 people in their class, which is our minimum number for classes to run. So 3 classes. We'll have 2 classes on Wednesday and 1 class on Saturday as of right now that will run. This will give us kind of a good starting point to essentially slowly reopening our facilities. Just to go over the protocols that we have in place at this moment. Everyone's will be wearing a mask while they're participating in their class and in the building. Social distancing, we'll have markers on the floor notating the proper distances. We'll have a sign-in sheet that everyone who participates in the class will need to sign and fill out prior to beginning the class for contact tracing purposes. As far as the entrance, the front door at the Senior Center and Salter Center will be the only access point to the building, so staff can monitor who's in and who's coming out of the building. And before entering into the building, you'll be temperature checked and also have to pass an Oakland County health screening. So once you pass that, you can then enter the building and then proceed into your class. So what's good about that is if someone does not pass those tests, they do not have access into the building. And then for youth classes, we're only going to have 1 parent per child. So you can't bring if parents are taking their child to a class and they have other siblings with them, it's just the person that's registered, the child that's registered for the class, and 1 parent, just to kind of limit the size. And then obviously the capacity limit is at 25%. So that gives about 80 people total at the Salter Center, 95 people total at the Senior Center. And depending on what room your class is in, it's going to be anywhere between 12 to 15 people.
Thanks, John.
And then, hold on.
Okay.
I got a whole list here.
I figured. I was just making sure. I wasn't sure if that was it. Okay.
So we've opened up our pavilion registrations for residents only at this time. So if you go to royaloakrec.com, you can click on pavilions. You'll have to create an account, but you can sign up for the pavilion rentals at this time for residents only. April 1st is when we'll open it up for everyone, non-residents, residents, etc. Let's see here. As far as the Normandy Oaks update, since we're kind of in this winter season, there's not much to present, but to Commissioner Macy's earlier comment, this thing is going to be done by the spring. So you'll have that to look forward to, and then as the spring approaches, we'll have some sort of grander opening than we had previously as a soft opening in October. Paige mentioned it. The Senior Center is closed. We're installing a air handler and condenser So they'll be out of, there's still staff in there to answer phone calls, but it's closed until January 21st. Lawson Park and Franklin Park. We have submitted all of our bid documents to the contractor. And so we're trying to get all that stuff out to bid, hopefully by next Friday, with a bid opening in mid-February. So that means we'll have the spring to look forward to, the renovations at Lawson Park and Franklin Park to look forward to. And then Aaron can't be here today, so he sent me a kind of a note of what he wanted to share with everyone. So I'm kind of just going to paraphrase it. He's been here for about a year, and he mentions that he's had a good chance to kind of take a seat back and look at the bigger picture. And one of the challenges that he sees for our department is the gap between public expectations of park upgrades and park maintenance and funding. But despite that, to credit of the city staff and commissioners, there have been an extensive amount of park improvements and extensive effort to keep all of the improvements and the parks maintained to a high standard throughout the several years through grant funding and other alternative sources. But this is something that will need to be reviewed, as it is going to be a continuing challenge on how we pay for upgrades and future maintenance going forward. With that being said, with all this new equipment, fields, and facilities that are being upgraded and installed, the maintenance cost is going to have to be reviewed. A lot of this stuff is new equipment, so it's not your typical slides, but it's a lot of rope courses. So there's a little bit more maintenance to them, a little bit more cost to them. So they require more frequent inspections. The components could be a little bit more costly after warranty expires. So that's something to keep in mind. His concern is that without a steady funding source for both capital improvements and operations and maintenance, the department will continue to find itself in uncomfortable trade-offs to make progress. Meaning, if we only have a certain amount of funding, do we upgrade the parks equipment, or do we upgrade basketball courts, or do we upgrade tennis courts? And it's not ideal or sustainable. Let's see what else he says.
Hey, John, I think maybe our Parks and Rec department needs to find a professional baseball player to sponsor us.
Perhaps.
Noni, John? Noni? Who do you know?
Yeah, may, but I don't know. And he just reiterates that, it's not all about, the shiny new things that we get, but also how we take care of all of our parks and equipment, and the maintenance it would take to replace them in a high standard. But he mentions that as we prepare for the 21-22 budget, we're going to work on balancing the need for new investments with the appropriate maintenance funding levels. And also work on a program to sort of keep track of all of the systems and upgrades and park improvements that we have going on, and kind of have a system where we maintain and kind of look at our parks more often, so that way we can be proactive instead of reactive as far as fixing equipment. If a slide's broke or something like that, we'll have staff monitoring it on a constant basis, so we can be proactive instead of reactive. That's all I have for staff reports.
Mr. Rapinski.
Yeah, one of the things that maybe we can do a better job of as a city, not maybe through this board, is tooting our own horn. I think we do a lot of these projects and improvements, and not just Normandy Oaks, which gets all the publicity, or the city park that's getting all the publicity, but all these other projects that we've done over the last couple of years. Maybe we need to get that out there in the press, get that out there to the citizens through is it a quarterly magazine that Royal Oak Today? Maybe there's some vehicle, some way to get a nice recap summary of all these little things that we've done, the minor, the less than Normandy Oaks type projects. I'm going to call on Carrie, because you had mentioned, I think, that you're involved in publicity or community affairs. Maybe that's something you can help this committee with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was thinking, what if we did like a park of the month or like a park of the quarter update, and like we featured some of these different parks that have been getting some of these smaller things. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there, but I agree with Mike that we really, I think Normandy Oaks in the downtown park get a lot of hype because they're big and they're huge and they're going to be beautiful and they're great assets. But the city has done a lot of other great upgrades to some parks that I'm not sure, if you're not in that immediate community, may not be as recognizable.
Yeah, I think some kind of summary that would highlight, what we've done maybe over the last 2 years, John, that, if somebody were to get with you, sit down, and we could even get somebody to write an article about it and present it to the, that Royal Oak Today or the CNG paper, just say, hey, you only see the big shiny stuff. Here's all the other things that we're doing and what makes our city great and what makes our parks great.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I've actually been working on a year in review type dialogue or a letter that pretty much just goes over, yes, this has been a rough year as far as participation numbers and everything else that's been going on with COVID and everything. But to look on the bright side, this is kind of everything that our department has done during this year. So it's a draft, but I should have that probably ready for everyone in February, if not March.
Crystal, you had something? You saw your hand raised. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what Aaron had to say about his first year here. I completely agree with accounting for operations and maintenance, and we do capital improvements. I think that it should be something that we factor in. I think in the past, we had talked about having somebody come in to explain the numbers for us. I don't know if that was in relation to Parks and Rec department's number crunching in terms of the budget, but I think we had mentioned it earlier. We'd also mentioned going over the master plan as a board, I believe, and we haven't done that in the past year. That would be something I'm interested in. And then thirdly, Mike, your comment about promoting Parks and Rec. I know my roommate has asked about my shirt that I got because I'm on the board. I would love to see that available for people to purchase if they want to. And in terms of social media for, image purposes, now that we have a page, even something as small as do we have a hashtag, and can we do something as simple as a photography contest with like a reward of a t-shirt? I mean, hopefully these things don't eat up too much time, but just a couple of things that crossed my mind.
Yeah, those are great ideas.
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner Macy.
Oh, I love that photography. Gosh, you're having trouble.
I know.
I love the idea of that photography contest. Let's get that going right now. Like, we could have a monthly photography contest of something like a picture of our parks. That would be awesome. So I think it's funny that Aaron left you to deliver that message, John.
I paraphrase. I may have missed a few things.
But I want to say I totally agree. I mean, and one thing that may not be clear to people who aren't looking at the budget or aren't sitting on any of these boards is that most of the money that comes from the city budget for parks goes exclusively like maintenance and like must-do items. And almost every time we improve a park, it's through CDBG funds or some other grant funds. There has not been recently a lot of money that goes directly to improving our parks, and we have 51. So you can see like there's a real range of quality of the park equipment from one to the other. Like if they're in the CDBG zone, then they get lucky, then they might get they might be one of the ones that's improved. But it's definitely something that needs some attention. And I completely agree about the maintenance. Like we now, with these 2 new parks that are coming online, which as Sarah says, are like these big new fancy objects, but they also have items that we don't have anywhere else. So we have a splash pad, but also like another kind of splash pad that's downtown that's going to be coming in, and we have different
water
equipment.
feature.
A water
It's a water feature. It's not a splash pad.
It's a fountain. But it's going to require specialized maintenance, and I mean, I really do think that we need to be focusing on that. Another thing that my husband was hearing from ROFC long timers is that there used to be a ton more people in the Parks and Rec department who were able to do, like there were arborists who were there, trimming the trees in all the parks. Now it's only like, as needed. When you call them because there's an emergency, they come and clear the branches, but they aren't proactively going out there. We just have a lot of needs to maintain these parks, and I do think it's important. So I think I absolutely agree that we should be spreading the good word about all the things that the city has been able to do with the parks, and we should be highlighting them. I love the ideas that people were saying about how we could be highlighting them, but I also think we have to be, as Aaron/John said, like tempering expectations with what we can do with the funding available in terms of we have all these beautiful parks. We cannot maintain them as high as we want to with the funding that is currently out there. So unless we're going to be putting a lot more money towards Parks and Rec, it's a challenge. So that's something that this board needs to be cognizant of. I'm going to throw my idea out there too, is that I think once it gets warm again, especially when COVID times, we should have our meetings at some of these pavilions. Like we should do our own tour of the pavilions and get to know our parks a little bit better. I've kind of started that in the last few years. New members, we normally meet at the senior center. Obviously we're not right now. But we went to the ice arena, and we went to the golf course. Like we tried to get our board at least familiar with some of the great facilities that our city has. So anyway,
I also think highlighting some of the community groups that do maintain some of these parks as well. Like I know that Mike, is it the Optimist Club that you work with, Mike, and you work really hard on Optimist Park. I think the Nature Society is another one that we don't highlight, and they spend a lot of volunteer time and effort in those. Because I'm familiar with it, but like the dog park's a good example. Like the city maintains that, but there's a lot of work that is done by the actual community members there. I think giving those examples might be a great way to highlight ways that you can get involved in your own community park as well, and that might not offset it, but at least help. And it could also help with expectations, that like we have a lot of green space and we should be really proud, but it takes a village, it takes, we can't just rely on the handful of people and things like that. So how can we get more communities involved in being more active in some of that? I think might be a great opportunity for us to think about as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to, say this was something that, Aaron and I really kind of, even though he wrote the letter, this is something that him and I really kind of took a step back and really sat down and was like, okay, we've been fortunate to have the CDBG funds to upgrade parks that really do need them. Mm-hmm. But we're always tied. Hands are always tied with getting a certain amount of funding, and you upgrade basketball courts, tennis courts, soccer fields, ball fields, or you do playground equipment, and it's almost a matter of like, okay, what's the liability topic, this year?
Yeah.
Is it, for instance, Elks Park, is the playground falling apart and that becomes a hazard, that type of thing. And I'm a little biased because I am in Parks and Recreation, and I'm all recreation, whatever, but recreation is a huge, huge aspect to a community.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, and I've been in the Florida community, it was kind of the same way. There's a lack of funding in recreation, and recreation is important because it also drives people to the city or to the locations. So the better amenities that you have, the more people you're going to have come through your community, and just the economic impact that will have is you can't put a number to it.
Well, John, the elephant in the room is one of the solutions to the issue is a Parks and Rec millage.
I was thinking the
And
same thing, Mike.
It's just, you know, other communities, cities in our area have successfully passed dedicated Parks and Rec millages. I think Sterling Heights in the last year, it was probably the biggest one. And the trick with that is in the messaging and in the way it's presented. I'm not advocating we run out there and throw something on the November ballot this year, but I think that bears discussion at all levels in the city, you know, right now. Melody, I'm talking to you, you know, I'm also talking to us and also to, you know, our various civic groups in the city, the Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and you know, we're going to be involved in the 100-year anniversary of the city. In fact, I'm on a committee for that. So, you know, there's just, I think maybe resources we can pull together as a city, as a community, and maybe discuss the possibility of some kind of a millage in the future. I know those are always a tough sell, but if we can just make our case for the need for maintenance and other improvements and for these assets that we have that make our community more attractive and our property values more valuable. End of speech.
Thank you, Thanks, Mike. All right. Anything else, John? Any other messages that Aaron would like you to deliver for us, him?
No.
Okay. All right.
So, John, did you note all those things that those ideas people had?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments, thoughts on the actual business section of our agenda? All right. Moving on to items not on the agenda.
So there was just one item that I have. The Nature Society was having their 20th anniversary Zoom
volunteer party today.
tonight. So right now, actually, the same time as our meeting. So that's where Aaron was tonight. But just to kind of, I would told them that I was going to let you guys know that they were having their 20th anniversary party tonight. So that's what's going on my side. I just mentioned that we're going to be opening up our facilities on a limited basis the next week or two.
With the facilities opening, John, how does that leave us with? I remember one of our meetings we talked about warming centers. I know it hasn't been a huge need yet, but
yeah. So right now, the only people that are going to be allowed into the facilities is if they have signed up for a class or have a reserved time slot. So for instance, Paige's taxes, they have to have a reserved time. We're not doing any walk-ins at this time. No pickleball, no walk-in volleyball or card games, stuff like that. So it's really just a very small opening. We're going to monitor to see how everything goes, and then hopefully it goes well, and then we'll start working for our spring to slowly reopen more stuff.
hopefully we don't get any really cold stuff. Yes, Commissioner Macy.
So I just had one thing I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
So for our new board members, John and Aaron are fantastic, and they love to run with the things that we bring them. So if you have ideas like that were thrown out here today, please bring them to this board member or board meeting, or just email them to John and Aaron and say, hey, I thought about this. Doesn't mean necessarily it's going to take off, but like they are great about it. And on that note, I saw this article in the Oakland Press that I'm now putting in the chat if anybody hasn't seen it. This storybook trail they did with the snowy day, where they would throughout this park there was a trail, and then they had like pieces of the book. They had the book pages, and so as you walked along the trail, you were reading the book. Anyway, I thought it was great, and since I'm also on the library board, I was thinking that this could be something that this body and that body maybe collaborates on, is to get to like identify a park and think if there's somewhere in Royal Oak we could do that. I mean, I like the idea of doing it with like books, like library books, but I also wondered if we could do it with like our Royal Oak stories as part of the centennial celebration, if we could have some of our parks feature the stories too. So anyway, that's the idea that I'm throwing out, and I encourage other people to, if you have ideas like that, throw them to John and Aaron, or bring them to us here, because we'd love to talk about them.
Earlier last month, my mom and I and my neighbors, we went to the Cranbrook Trails, that park. It was like really beautiful. Has tons of like trails and everything. I know that's not in Royal Oak, but like it's a really good park too.
I mean, that's the thing. We want to bring ideas from other places here. Like, I'm just stealing this idea. So if you see something from another place you want to steal, like, we have no shame, bring it here.
I am hopefully next winter we're not in social distancing and all of this, but I did go downtown to one of the parks and they had like fire pits. And I was thinking of our new downtown park when it's ready to have like some fire pits. They had s'mores kits, they had food. Some really great, like they were having an ice sculpting thing. They had music going. Like it just seemed like it was really nice. Especially, I appreciated it because I actually got to see human faces. But I think it was still just a great atmosphere. And even outside of COVID, just having some fire pits with some lounge chairs and some great opportunities. Because I think as Michiganders, we really should try to utilize the outdoors a little bit more in the winter because it's, we live here. We should know what to expect at this point and probably start to embrace it a little bit, But I'll put the like link in the chat just so you guys can look at what some of the ideas were that they had. But it was interesting. It was good. And I can definitely see it be a great opportunity for our new downtown park when it's around, John.
Yeah, those are good ideas. I've already kind of been creating lists of programming for downtown park whenever it becomes live.
We'll get there. All right, I'll send it to you, John. I can't find it right now. I'm tired. Yes, Commissioner Macy.
So I remembered earlier in the meeting, and I remembered again. We also need to appoint someone to the senior task force, right?
I'm currently on it, and then we only had one person.
Oh, it was only one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And I'm still on it.
Stephanie was on it too. That we had two.
Oh, I'll follow up with Commissioner Douglas and see if we do need to, or if it was just that we both happened to be on it.
Yeah, because maybe Stephanie was on already and then she just came here. Maybe that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will follow up on how many we need and report back, along with I will try to get us an update as well, because for those of you who know, we were going through this process with the AARP. It was a 5-year thing. We applied for it. We did all the task force groups, and then we were supposed to start putting action plans together right as we started COVID. And so we haven't been able to meet and proceed with that. So I guess I want to understand kind of if we get a year reprieve, or if we're going to have to reapply, or so I can look into that for us as well.
Thank you.
All right. Our new members have been very quiet, so I'm kind of curious if they're just absorbing all of this, or
no, not new. I'm just letting everyone else talk.
Okay. So
but,
anybody, yeah, go ahead, Maya.
Oh no, I don't have anything to say yet.
Sure,
but I'm
we'll
happy to be here with you guys again for another 2 years. This is so exciting.
All right. Do any of our other new members have ideas, thoughts, anything they want to ask us about? I know it's getting late, so I don't want to rush anybody and hold anyone over, but we want to make sure that we also give everyone a chance to talk. Yes, Joe.
Yeah, I'd just throw a couple things out there.
Yeah.
As a parent of 2 young children, I spent a lot of nights over the past 7 years at our parks around Royal Oak, and really enjoyed that as part of our engagement with the community, just meeting friends there or making new friends there. It's been a really integral part of who we are. And my wife is an art teacher, and so I'm always going to advocate for arts in the park. Music in the park. I see Ferndale doing like porch concert series, and I love those kind of things. I love the idea of like an outdoor European Christmas market at our downtown park, and I'm really excited that hopefully we can have that kind of vision moving forward for our parks in the community. They're a tremendous asset, but I do think they could there could be some new ways that we could utilize them to really draw some people into taking advantage of how great they really are.
I know one thing that Crystal and I have talked about offline before was some kind of like sculpture park or something like that. Like we could use one of our parks to really promote art and education. So I'd love to dig into that on a future meeting.
Yeah, and again, for John, I don't know if the moment has passed, but my mind was even thinking, like kind of kind of combining forces with maybe some of the art classes, whether at the middle
Mhm.
school or the high school, and having some of those students take photos of our parks. And that way, you know, I see Maya was a former, you know, student. That way, getting high school kids civically
Yep.
involved. I mean, the more you can do that, the better you're, I mean, that's going to improve your community right there. So I think those are great
Yeah.
things.
Yep. Love it.
Let's do that right now. You know the
Yeah.
art teacher at ROMS. Let's do like a photography
I-
contest for the
I
parks.
know the assistant principal for the high school now. She is Miss Alyssa Reimold. She's very, very nice. She also recommended me to the, well, she was telling me about the committee also. Commissioner Macy told me about the library board. So happy that I'm on that board as well. But like I would maybe like email her about like the student thing, because like her classes was like the technology stuff at the high school. Like for the last couple of years, I've known her since I was like a freshman at Royal Oak High School. So that's been about 5 years now. So long time. Yeah. But
That's great. Okay, I'll email her and you together about that.
oh, okay. Yeah. For sure. Do you want me to text you my what is it? My Gmail account, because I have my what is it? My Mindspring, that's like my personal email with like spam with like for the boards and everything. And
yes, yeah, give me the non-spam one. I don't want to.
Okay. Yeah, no, for sure not the spam one.
All right. Joe, was that kind of where you wanted anything else?
No, I'm glad to be part of the group and really excited to be to work with you guys in the future. So thank you.
Yeah, love the ideas. Anyone else?
This is Carrie. I'm just listening and taking everything in, just hearing kind of what the unmet needs are. And, I think a lot of my work across the state doing, land grants and working on passport recreation, the community block grants is obviously a very well-known funding opportunity, but there's numerous funding opportunities through Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, the Community Foundation of Michigan, the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation is Project Play. Robert Wood Johnson Foundation does a lot with play equity. I mean, everyone is looking, especially due to the pandemic, of the inequities with access to green space and how it plays in our mental health and our physical health. So, there's a lot of funders that aren't necessarily like these federal funders, but these private funders, which is often easier dollars to spend, and maybe that's some of the assets that I can bring to this team is, working towards that. That's kind of what my past has been.
Definitely. And I do know that the city has a grants writer. So, Carrie, maybe at a future meeting, it would be worth our time to have her come and hear some of the ideas to start to talk about some of those funding sources.
Absolutely. And also really quickly, my work through Beaumont. So I work in government affairs, and a lot of our work is around sponsorship dollars. So with the Affordable Care Act for hospitals to maintain their 501c3, they have to allocate X dollars back into the community. So, Beaumont does this, Henry Ford does this, Ascension. I mean, so there's a lot of unmet dollars that we could be asking from the hospitals to, build upon our public spaces.
Great to hear. Look at that, John. We don't even need a millage now. Just,
No, we still need
just kidding.
We don't even need a baseball player.
Right. I appreciate that, Carrie. Thank you. And like I said, maybe either in February or March, it would be a good time to kind of pull that together, bring our grants writer, and figure out kind of how and what we want to approach for these alternative resources to help offset some of the cost of upgrades, so that the parks team can really focus on the maintenance and things like that, which I know is a big need. Anyone else? Susan?
Oh wait, I have looked. Oh,
okay, go ahead. Susan,
No, I'm just taking it in, listening.
Okay.
For first time getting involved like this, so I just glad to be here and glad to participate and help out.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I just want to make sure you feel like you have an opportunity to share as well. So yes, Maya.
Oh, so I was in the chat earlier. I was texting with Mr. Fidel, and I was wondering, do I need to like bring my own notes or anything? No.
I think I'm gonna let you and John work out delegation
Take
of
care of the
notes.
notes, Maya. You just make sure my T's are crossed and I's are dots.
And
Okay.
Macy's have an E.
Any
And
other
Macy's have an E.
errors I have.
Okay.
Maya, think of yourself as an editor.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I am taking an English composition one class right now, and it's going pretty well. Have a really great professor at OCC because I had her last semester, and she gives like really good feedback on like my essays, and I'm so excited. Well, I saw her yesterday, and it was really fun getting to see her again on Zoom, even though it was like not in person because of COVID. But yeah, super excited.
Sarah, are we still talking about items not on the agenda, or are we had moved past staff? Where are we at on the agenda?
I think we are still on items out of the agenda. So do you have anything last you want to add?
Well,
right now?
I want to recommend something for the next meeting because I would like to get a golf course update. And John, maybe we could get Joe to get into our next Parks and Rec meeting. For those, again, new members, the golf course is part of our park system. It is contracted out to a concessionaire, and sometimes gets neglected. We've done some good things there in the last couple of years, including hard cart paths, well, soft cart paths throughout the entire course, but it does desperately needs some attention. Again, this goes back to the whole funding issue. I don't know what the solution is, but I'd like to at least bring the rest of the committee up to date on what's going on with the golf course. So maybe we can invite Joe to come in and give us 10 minutes on the golf course next meeting.
Of course.
John, do you know any famous golfers that would like to donate?
I
Just kidding.
remember
I do like Arnold Palmer, so I mean.
I do remember when we had those like a few of the meetings like outside of the senior center, like going to the golf place, and then also I think it was the ice arena by the high school. That those were fun meetings too.
Awesome. All right. Anything else not on the agenda? All right. Well, again, I just want to take an opportunity to welcome all the new members. We're really excited. I think there's a lot of great energy and a lot of great ideas, and really looking forward to the impact that we're going to have on the community. I think we're going to see some really great things over the next couple of years with this board. So with that, I want to see if I want to entertain a motion to adjourn. Did I say that right, John?
You did.
I didn't get to that part in the script.
So moved.
Is anyone second? Okay. With that, I would like to formally close the meeting. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Wait, we gotta vote, we gotta vote, we gotta vote, we gotta vote.
Vote. Damn it. All right. Darn it.
Oh, great.
Got there. All right. I will do a roll call vote. We'll start in order. Carrie?
Aye.
Crystal? Susan?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Commissioner Macy?
Or Melanie. Aye.
Melanie? And Maya?
Aye.
All right. Now the meeting is
You have to
finally
vote too,
adjourned.
Sarah.
Oh yeah, aye. I'll work on it, you guys. I appreciate all of your patience with the meeting format tonight. So thank you very much.
Great, good job.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Good job
guys.
for the first meeting. You did a really good job.
Yeah, good job, Sarah. Way to go.
Well,
Thanks for
We'll
sharing.
let you do it again next month.
Yeah, let's try take two. Bye, guys.
I'm gonna hit leave, and when I hit leave, you guys are all gonna go away. So.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody, nice to meet you all.
Bye. Nice
Bye.
meeting you too.
Nice to
Bye.
meet you.